What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Full-Time Wedding Pro podcast. My name is Peyton Helm. It's nice to see you again. It's been like a little while. It's been like almost a month. For those of you super fans who have been refreshing YouTube every day looking for a new video of mine, I'm so sorry to have let you down. That's probably none of you. But if you've been wondering where I've been, I've had an insane month. We've been scaling the coaching program dramatically, been getting caught up on coaching calls. I traveled. I went to Spain for a week for an amazing workshop with amazing business owners. It was incredible. Learned a lot about how to scale a business to very, very, very high levels. And I'm actually going to be talking a lot about that in this video with you guys. But basically, yeah, I'm so sorry that I have not been posting much this month, but I am going to be posting more consistently again. And also I'm changing my content strategy just a little bit. And I think it's going to be really, really cool to see the results of this. So if you guys want to be in the loop on that, basically I've been doing once a week videos, podcast episodes. So obviously if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, just know that I also make these in video form and I post them on YouTube, and obviously vice versa. If you're on YouTube, I'm posting the audio versions on Spotify and Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts rather. Anyway, a lot of my videos have been longer, more than 30 minutes, up to an hour sometimes. And what I'm going to do in once a week. So what I'm going to do is go to twice a week and make the videos a little bit more concise and a little bit more value packed for the time spent, because I don't want to just create super, super long content that wastes your all's time. I want to give you the most value as possible in the fastest amount of time as possible, because I know we're busy and I know you got stuff to do, like editing. Get caught up on your editing, please. So anyway, in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to make $200K per year as a wedding photographer. And this video will probably be pretty short, just going in line with my new content strategy that I am running. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. Now, a few things. Number one, if you don't know me, I am a wedding photography and videography coach, business coach. So I don't teach how to shoot weddings. I teach how to scale your wedding business, right? So the art of growing a business, a successful business. We teach primarily paid advertising, but also branding and sales and pricing and organic marketing. And really the thing that I do is I help wedding photographers and filmmakers go from stuck to living an amazing, successful life with a thriving business. That is what I help you do, and that's what I'm going to talk about a lot in this video. This video is going to kind of go into the core principles of how you scale a business, okay? So yes, it's titled How to Make $200K per Year as a Wedding Photographer, but what really the core of this video is going to be about is how to scale a business to whatever level that you want to. So I am going to talk a little bit about math here, like the math of making $200K per year as a business owner. But what I want you to understand is you can apply these things whether you want to make 100K or you want to make 500K or you want to make $1 million. And yes, there are wedding photographers and filmmakers who make $1 million a year. We can talk about that in this video. In fact, I've got, a couple of them that I've worked with in my program. So it doesn't matter what level of income you want to scale to. All these things are the same. So let's go ahead and dive into it. There's going to be three things we're talking about in this video. And the first one is do the math. So I know that's probably pretty self-explanatory, like, okay, 200K per year, blah, blah. But there's a specific formula, and it's nothing crazy, but there's a formula that I go off of that will tell you how much you should price and how many weddings you should shoot. It's very, 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 very easy, but for some reason, not a lot of people do this. So basically it's, your end revenue goal, which in this case, we're just going to use 200K per year for the example. So your end revenue goal, 200K, divided by the price that you charge on average per wedding. I know you guys have collections, but whatever the average price is, and that will give you the number of weddings that you should shoot per year. Now, if it's vice versa, if you're like, hey, I can't do more than 30 weddings a year or 40 weddings a year, then what you need to do is you need to take the end revenue, divide it by how many weddings you're willing to shoot, and that'll give you a price that you should go after and you should target. That's a little bit of a different conversation. I actually made a video on this channel about how to raise prices and all that stuff. So you can actually go watch that video if you want to learn a little bit more about pricing. This is just going to be a little bit more about actually doing the thing that is going to make you more money, which is usually shooting more weddings. So obviously there's a bit of a caveat to this. So you need to determine if it's just going to be you shooting the weddings, or if it's going to be you plus a team shooting the weddings, or if it's just going to be your team shooting the weddings. A lot of you guys I know have associates. That's becoming a very, very popular model. And that's fine, right? So whatever business revenue that you want to make, this is not personal, this is business revenue. You need to divide that by how much you charge on average per wedding, or how much you want to charge on average per wedding. And that'll give you how many weddings that you should aim for to book yearly. And then obviously you can take that and you can go monthly and weekly and all that stuff. So a couple examples here real quick. I just did the math right here and I said 200K per year divided by 5K per wedding on average will give you about 40 weddings that you need to shoot per year, or you at least need to book per year. If you're not the one shooting them. And then the other one, 200K per year. So 40 weddings, if you're doing them by yourself, that could be like, oh God, that's a lot. I don't know if I want to shoot 40 weddings a year. And I get that. The most I ever shot in a year was 35 weddings and I literally wanted to die. So I understand. So the other example here is 200K divided by 7K on average per wedding will give you 28 weddings. So you'll need to raise prices by 2K and you are shooting just a little bit more than half of the amount of weddings per year, which is pretty cool. And then obviously, really easy math, 200K divided by 10K per wedding is 20 weddings. Now, obviously there's going to be situations where not all of you are able to charge 5K, 7K, 10K per wedding, and that's okay. That's actually where we talk about the second thing in this video. But the first thing you need to do is just do the math, okay? Now, this is just very, very, very high level. Obviously, even to get to your revenue goal, you need to do a lot more math, right? You need to know how much your business expenses are. You need to know how much your living expenses are. You need to know how much you're going to be investing back into the business, right? You need to know how much you're spending on marketing, taxes, savings, all these other things, right? You need to understand these things to get a really solid goal. But if you know for sure, and I always like to overshoot a little bit, but if you know for sure, okay, I need to at least make 200K per year to live as a person, your business probably needs to make 250 at minimum or more than that. So understand that whatever end revenue goal that you have, do the math to show you how much you should charge and how many weddings that you need to shoot. That's the first thing. That's just bare bones basics. The first thing you need to do. Now, second thing you need to do, this is where I'm going to spend most of the time in this video, is talking about the second thing. The second thing, it goes back to the theory of constraints, and it is determine your constraint, your current constraint, and solve it. So one thing that I learned from attending Alex Hermosi's workshop, which is what their whole acquisition team, which I've talked about before, is diving into the theory of constraints. That's how they basically scale businesses. And ultimately looking at it, it's kind of the unconscious thing that I have done over the last several years of growing my businesses. And then obviously now working with the other coaches and amazing business owners in Spain, we're all studying this. This is how you scale a business, is going off of the theory of constraints. And what the theory of constraints is basically a business will scale until it hits its next constraint. And then when you solve that constraint, it will continue scaling until it hits its next constraint. So you likely right now are facing a constraint. There is usually always some type of bottleneck or constraint in your business that you need to solve. So if you want to make 200K per year, you need to determine where you're at right now. Maybe you're at 20K per year, or you're at 50K per year, or maybe you're at 100K per year, or maybe you're at 200 and you want to scale to $1 million. I don't know. You need to determine where you're at right now, and you need to determine what the biggest, the highest leverage thing that you can solve is to get to the next level. So for some of you, these kind of boil down to overall columns, which I'll talk about. But for some of you, it could be you're just not getting any inquiries. And obviously if you're not getting inquiries and you can't close your inquiries, you can't price the way you want to charge, and you can't fulfill. So you need to get more inquiries. That is your current issue. So you don't need to worry about all these other things. We'll talk about this in more detail. I'm just going over the high level stuff right now. So maybe for some of you, for a lot of you, probably from what I've understood, is you're just not getting inquiries. Okay. So that is a potential constraint that we can solve. Maybe though you are getting inquiries, but you're not closing any of them. Okay, that's not a inquiries issue, that's a sales issue. So you need to get better at selling. Maybe your price is too high, or you're not pricing correctly, or maybe your price is too low. That's also a problem that happens sometimes. And you need to solve that, right? So that is a price constraint, not a sales constraint, not a marketing constraint. Maybe you're booked out, but you can't book any more weddings because you're editing 12 hours a day and you have a fulfillment constraint. You are not able to fulfill all of the weddings that are coming to you. That's what happened to me when I did 35 weddings in a year. I was just editing, and I had no time for anything else. So that was my constraint. And if I wanted to scale past that, I would have had to bring on a full editing team and stuff like that. So what I really, really want you guys to do is do an audit of your business right now. Just look from a high level point of view and say, okay, my job as a CEO is to scale my business, is to drive revenue. So what is the one thing, the highest importance thing right now that is stopping that from happening? And if that is getting inquiries, then you don't need to be reworking your price. You don't need to be hiring an editing team. You don't need to be, reworking, your sales process or whatever. You need to be focusing on getting inquiries. And what does that look like? Well, obviously I have a lot of videos on YouTube about getting inquiries. It's kind of my thing. It could be running ads, right? It could be working harder on SEO. It could be posting more and more strategically on social media. It could be cold DMing couples. It could be cold DMing, other wedding vendors. It could be going to bridal shows. Like it could be posting in Facebook groups if you want to. I don't care. It's up to you ultimately, like what you do to get inquiries. But if you are not getting inquiries, then you need to get inquiries. And then when you solve that issue, you will have more constraints come up in the future. But you need to figure out what your current constraint is and then put all of your effort and energy into that one thing to solve it. Now, if you don't know how to solve it, that's a different issue. You probably need to hire a business coach, or you need to, get with some mentors or whatever. So that's a different issue. And that's just going about solving it. So if you have an issue and you don't know how to solve it, then you need to learn how to solve it. And that's where investing is important. Investing in a business coach, investing in a team member to do it for you. I wouldn't ever really urge you guys to invest in an agency in this industry specifically, because you need to kind of know how to do the thing really well if you want to hire an agency. So that way you're not going to get scammed. Because I see so many photographers who are like, yeah, I want to run ads, but I'm just going to hire an agency. But then they hire an agency and the agency tells them to do this thing. And the photographer doesn't know that the agency is bullshit because the photographer doesn't know how to run ads. So they're just going to trust the agency, and then the agency bombs because, listen, I could rant about agencies all day. An agency's goal is to keep you on the monthly retainer. If they get you so many results that you're booked out and then you don't need them anymore, they'll fire you or you'll fire them. And that's not good for their business. So they're going to get you a little bit of results, or they're going to optimize for the wrong thing, like getting you a ton of leads, but they're not going to care about the lead quality, which is a bad issue on your end, but it makes them look good. So that way you keep hiring them to make them more money. That's how agencies work. That's why you don't need to hire agencies. They suck for the most part. So anyway, that's a whole side rant. Let's go back to the main issue here. So you need to be okay with investing in things to learn the things that you don't know. If you're one of those people that's like, well, every coach is a grifter and a scammer and I'm going to learn everything on YouTube. Okay, that's fine, whatever. You'll spend 40, 60 hours a week learning something on YouTube and getting 1,000 different opinions, and you're going to have to try to figure it out for your own and apply it to your industry if you're looking at stuff outside the industry, because there's not a lot of good content in the wedding industry. I'm trying to fix that. So anyway, hire a business coach. That's one of the most valuable things you can do because you don't know what you don't know. That's why college exists. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's a whole side rant. Let's go back to the constraints. So if getting inquiries is your current constraint, you need to focus in on that. If sales is your constraint and you're getting inquiries in, but you're not closing them, you need to focus in on that. You need to, like I said, hire a sales coach. You need to test different sales strategies or test different call outlines or scripts or whatever. If it's a price thing, you need to rework your pricing. You need to focus on these things and not waste your time doing other things. I cannot tell you guys as an ads coach how many times I have clients in my program who aren't booking the inquiries they're getting, and then they're like, the ads aren't working. And I'm like, it's not your ads. Your ads are doing great. The inquiries coming through are high quality. We can see that because they fill out an application. You're closing 1 out of 10 calls. You have a sales issue. Let's fix it. And then we fix it, and then they scale to 20, 40, 50K a month. It's because they're focusing, and the reason why they're stuck is because they're focusing on the wrong thing. it's very, very easy as a business owner to have an internal issue like sales skill or pricing or client fulfillment even, and blame your lack of scalability or your lack of growth on external things like, oh, it's the market, or oh, it's the economy, or oh, it's social media, it's Instagram changing their algorithm again. But then you do an audit and you're like, oh, I've closed 0 out of 20 client calls this week or this month. Maybe I should fix my sales issue. There you go. So you need to do a really, really hard audit of your business and determine what your current constraint is. Get honest with yourself. And then if you know how to fix it, fix it. If you don't know how to fix it, hire somebody who can help you fix it. That comes into the conversation of fulfillment. A lot of photographers and filmmakers have a fulfillment issue that they don't realize. I cannot tell you guys how many times I have people who want to join my program and they're like, Peyton, I'm broke. I'm not booking weddings. Like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, I have a solution and you told me you can pay for it. So let's do it. Like, you obviously have an inquiry issue. Like, you're not getting inquiries. I can help you solve that. And then they're like, yeah, okay, well, I need to get through 10 or 20 more weddings that I have to edit. So I'll join in 6 months. I'm like, what do you do? Like, you're telling me you're not growing your business right now, but you're going to wait 6 months because you have things to edit. Hire an editing team so that way you can start running ads and get more revenue in to pay for the editing team. Anyway, that's a side rant. So a lot of times as wedding photographers and filmmakers, we tend to think that we are the artist, which we are, but that we need to also be the sole and the starving artist, but we don't. Okay. You can be a very successful business owner as a wedding photographer or filmmaker and deliver an incredible client experience and an incredible product to your couples while also having an editing team. You can, and there's nothing wrong with it. And anybody who tells you that you shouldn't do that is full of shit, because I have the proof to back it up. I am the proof to back it up. All of my couples have loved their photos and their video, and I have an editing team. And I have so many students in my program that do the same thing. So if you're in the mindset of, oh, I'm cheating my couples or they're getting a lower quality experience because I have an editing team, that's bullshit. You can still deliver a high quality experience. Think about how many other, look, we all have iPhones, right? Think about how amazing it is to have an iPhone. Think about everything that this thing can do. Literally, I'm cameras, whatever. Like, these are all built by teams, not by, this phone wasn't made by Steve Jobs. Yet, this phone is one of the reasons why I'm here right now. It is, and this laptop and computer screen and camera and mic, all these things were not built by the CEO of the business. So you can provide a really amazing product and a really amazing experience, not being the only person doing it. I promise. So going back to the constraints, you need to determine what your constraint is and then solve it. And if you don't know how to solve it, hire somebody who can help you solve it. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is scale until your next constraint. So when it comes to hitting a constraint in your business, it is very easy to get very emotional about it. And I get it, because I've been there. Like, I promise you guys, I've been there. You're not getting inquiries in, or you're not booking, or maybe you have an unhappy client because you took too long editing their stuff because you're so backlogged. It's very easy to get emotional and think, oh my God, I am a horrible business owner. Like, I'm just going to burn it down. Like, it's so, like, I can't do it. But what you need to understand is that constraints in business are normal, and they're good, because a constraint is an opportunity to refine your skills as a business owner. Yes, a constraint is a reflection of your skill as a business owner. So if you're scaling your business and you hit a constraint, whether that constraint is you're not getting inquiries, or your pricing doesn't make sense, or your sales skill isn't good, that is a reflection of your skills. We all start business not super skilled, and that's normal, okay? So your constraint, whatever constraint that you're facing, is an opportunity to refine your skills as a business owner. And then once you solve that constraint, you are a more highly skilled entrepreneur, and you will scale until your next constraint hits. And that is normal. A constraint is a reflection that you are scaling your business. So my friends, to recap, if you want to make 200K per year as a wedding photographer, or 500K per year, or $1 million a year, it's a very simple formula. Do the math so you know how to get there, right? Like 40 weddings a year, 28 weddings a year, you know what your goals are, so that way you can reverse engineer it. Like, okay, if I'm closing at 50%, if I want to book 2 weddings a month and I'm closing at 50% on calls, then I need to do 4 calls a month. And if it costs me $300 per call, then I need to do however this many numbers and ad spend, whatever. Like, you can do all the math there. Second thing is determine your constraint and solve it, and only it, one at a time. So if you're not getting inquiries, focus on getting inquiries. Don't worry about hiring an editing team or like whatever else, right? Unless your editing team is stopping you, or your editing backlog is stopping you from getting inquiries. In that case, that's your inquiries aren't your constraint. It's your editing that's your constraint. So hire a team, then get more inquiries. So you need to solve these things as they come up, right? And solve it completely. And then when it's solved, scale until you hit your next constraint. That is how you can make 100, 200, 500, $1 million a year as a wedding photographer or filmmaker. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, my friends. If you did, please feel free to subscribe to the podcast, like it, and feel free to go watch all my other videos on YouTube or listen to the other podcast episodes. And if you would like to hire me as your personal business and advertising coach, go to the link below. It's fulltimeweddingpro.com, or you can follow me on Instagram at Peyton Helm, and we can chat more about it. I'm happy to answer all your questions. Love your faces. I'll see you in the next one.